Hi, I'm Lucy Gibbs, and this is my story with a point. Today, I'm going to be talking about how I got lost in the woods, how I got out of the woods, and what I learned from the situation. Me and my family go to this one ranch house every single summer for about a week. I have spent years and years and years hiking, running, and swimming throughout the property, learning it front to back, learning the fence line, knowing exactly how to get anywhere within the property line. One time a few years ago, me and my family had just arrived. I was about 15 years old, and as soon as we got there, I helped unpack, grabbed my camera, and then went out to take pictures. I was near the east end of the property line, taking some really beautiful pictures, loving it. Well, as I continued to take pictures, I noticed these really beautiful flowers on the ground on the other side of the fence line. And being the opportunist that I am, I really decided that I had to take pictures of those flowers. I couldn't waste the opportunity. And I quickly found a spot where the fence was a little messed up, so I shimmied under it on my belly and got to the other side. Went on the property and began taking pictures of the flowers. As I continued, I was wandering around and then eventually began walking up the hill, going deeper and deeper into the property, which was land that I did not know how to get around. After about an hour, I decided that I should probably stop taking pictures, turn around, and head home. Going in a direction that I thought was the exact opposite of where I'd been heading, I realized was definitely not where I'd come from, and after about 3 miles, I realized I was lost in the woods. Now, my parents were very outdoorsy. They raised all of us to love the outdoors, love camping and hiking, and I definitely have been taught what to do in these situations. First of all, you should always stop if you're ever lost in the woods, because the more you wander, the more lost you're really going to become farther away from your point of origin generally. I've always been taught how to make fire, find water, find food, make a shelter, but if you're not prepared to do that, if you're not in the mindset of I'm going to be surviving in the woods right now, you're not going to be prepared to follow through once you're already lost. I found the highest point around me so I could try and figure out where I was and get oriented to my location. I saw that about 5 miles to the southwest-ish was the ranch house, but I knew that if I left this highest point, I wasn't really going to be able to find it once I was down in the low country. So I decided that I was going to have to swallow my pride and call someone to come help find me. Not wanting to call my dad because I was fearful of his wrath, let's be honest. I decided to call my brother first. And after calling every single other member of my family, no one answered. I finally called my dad. He did answer. After he packed some water in case he was out, and other supplies in case he was out in the woods for several days, or I was having heat sickness by the time he got to me, he started heading to the east side of the property where I crossed over from. I very detailedly explained where I crossed under. He followed that same path and then described his orientation to the sun so I could figure out that I needed to walk exactly southwest to get back to the property. Thankfully, I got back safely and no one was hurt. We all had some water, and this was a really lucky situation. But now let's talk about some things that I could have done differently that would have really helped keep me safe again, because all I had was my phone and a camera. Very unwise things to take into the woods in the heat of the day in South Texas. So first of all, whenever you're going into the woods, not knowing what you're going to be doing, you never know what could happen. Always try and have a steel-bladed knife with you. This is going to have 3 main purposes. First of all, you can use it to make fire. All you have to do is find a piece of flint, which is a very common rock found across all of America. Secondly, this can be used to make food. It's very inconvenient, let's be honest, to try and kill an animal with a knife, but if you're starving in the woods, you will need something, and it's less gore than trying to snap its neck with your own hands. And then finally, this can be used to cut down foliage and branches when you're making a temporary shelter to keep you out of the rain and sun. Secondly, what you're really going to want to do is understand how to find your cardinal directions. My mother thankfully taught me this when I was about 5. I learned a song and a dance and I never forgot it. But a contingency for this is you have to know where you're coming from. If you don't know where you're coming from and you suddenly find yourself lost, you're not going to know what direction to walk back in, even if you can't orient yourself with where your body is facing the sun. Have a plan on what you're doing whenever you go outside into an unknown land. Finally, don't trespass. Not a great idea. Just try and stay where you're supposed to be. That way you can stay safe. Thank you.